Warning, this video contains spoilers for The Flash Season 4, Crisis on Earth X, Flash portion, the final episode of Season 2, and Season 3. If you are not caught up fully, do so before watching. It's a video and my views aren't that high anyways, so I can wait. Just please come back. Hello everyone and welcome back to another Flash Theory video. Today we are going to answer, well, not definitively, but I'm pretty confident in my answer, one of the biggest questions from the end of Season 4. That question being, what was Nora West Allen's big mistake as she claimed? And that question is relatively easy to answer if you put some thought into it. When I originally came up with the concept for this video, I was met by 3 possible clues as to what her mistake was. 1, it had to be on camera. 2, the Speed Force language. And 3, the times she popped up in the show before the reveal. Now, before everyone starts freaking out and saying that her big mistake was saving Barry from dying when he punched the satellite, just stop, please. It is impossible. From a timeline standpoint, Barry was not supposed to die when he punched the satellite in the original post-Flashpoint timeline. More on that later. Point 1, it had to be on camera. The main thought process behind this is pretty simple. Shows in general want all important things to happen on camera, otherwise it frustrates all the viewers and the ratings go down. Simple as that. But as well as the only way she could have messed with the timeline so bad as to come to her parents, which she didn't want them to know that she was there, was it had to be an interaction with a member of Team Flash. Oh, but Connor, I can hear you typing in the comments. It could be off camera because they want to keep it a secret and reveal it next season. I do acknowledge the fact that some shows do it like that, but The Flash doesn't. They hint at things all season long like they did with Savitar in Season 3. This year they couldn't because they revealed DeVoe at the beginning of the season as well as technically last season, but at that point we didn't know when that would occur. They had to hint at something, and what was the fans, particularly my girlfriend's, favorite moments? When Nora would pop up on screen doing something odd or quirky meaning the team. This brings me to my next point. During the final scene of episode 23, we see the long-awaited reveal of "This house is bitchin'," a phrase which Cisco decoded from Barry in episode 1. In case you forgot or didn't heed my warning, here's the clip.
Excelsior!
What is it? Cisco figured it out. He figured out how to crack Barry's code.
You did? What does it say?
Hold on one sec. It's loading. It says, "This house is bitchin'."
I went over the clip for an hour and a half trying to pick out every symbol that showed up in "This house is bitchin'. Then I came up with a really rough idea. But then I went back to the scene where after Nora met Cisco and Ralph and paid for their coffee, she was writing down in her journal. Remember that scene? Well, it turns out no symbols reappear between the two. The symbols she was writing are totally different from the symbols that appeared in "This house is bitchin', so I was at a dead end there. But that gave me an idea to look at her appearances as a whole. Point 3. The time she appeared before the final reveal. You guys need to hear me out because this may get a little complicated. But for a brief synopsis, here are the times she appeared before they told us who she was at the end of the season. The first time, she was at Barry and Iris's wedding before the Nazis attacked. Buying Ralph and Cisco coffee, and she wrote in the Speed Force language after that. That was after the wedding. After that, she spilt coffee on Caitlin and Harry and says that her meeting went well. And giving a diaper bag to Joe and Cecile, and she sees Iris and runs away. The ones I would like to focus on is the third and fourth one. Let's start with the fourth. When Nora appeared to gift Joe and Cecile a diaper bag, Iris came over to see who was at the door. When Nora noticed Iris, she got what looked like a concerned, scared, regretful, and resentful face. This is caused by what I can only assume was a fight between the two of them about traveling through time. The concern and scared emotions come from the fact that Nora is scared she will get in trouble, and the resentfulness stems from the fact that Nora thinks she is right about time traveling, and that she came back here to prevent a terrible act from taking place. But she's also feeling bad about what she had to do to prevent that act from occurring. What is the act, you asked? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not entirely sure, but I have a pretty strong idea. This brings me to the third time when we see her, when she spills coffee on Caitlin and Harry in jitters. I'm going to quickly play the conversation they had before they got the coffee spilt on them.
What do you remember?
Killer Frost being worried
Worried about what? About dying?
about me.
Interesting.
You may now be remembering the episode that was all in flash time, yes? Well, that is important, so stop reliving the awesomeness for a minute. Caitlin and Harry were talking about how throughout that whole ordeal, Killer Frost was scared for Caitlin's safety. When she revealed this information to Harry, he seemed to have an idea before Nora cuts them off. We know from some episodes later that Killer Frost and Caitlin were actually exchanging notes to communicate with one another. My theory, finally, right, is that if the conversation had continued, Harry would have devised a way to get Killer Frost and Caitlin to be able to communicate on a Firestorm-like level, being two minds in one head. And using the thinking cap, he'd be able to prevent DeVoe from taking the powers away from Caitlin. I truly believe that Nora's intentions were to stop that conversation from happening by interrupting it by, I don't know, spilling coffee on them and acting really weird to cause them to not revisit that conversation later. I'm going to now play the conversation that happened after she spilled the coffee on them, and then her reaction to after both Caitlin and Harry left.
My first Killer Frost, and I go and ruin it.
No, that's
Typical,
not okay.
typical me.
Okay, don't worry about it.
I just get so clumsy when I'm nervous.
What are you nervous about?
I'm supposed to be meeting some people here for the first time, and I've got the jitters, which is what this place is called.
Hey, it is.
At
Okay. We're gonna go.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm really very, very sorry.
Don't worry about it. Good luck with your meeting. I hope it goes well.
Thanks. It did.
Now here is where everything I have just said comes together. Nora knew that Killer Frost and Caitlin would be able to communicate, and using that, were able to prevent DeVoe from taking her powers. I'm going to assume that Killer Frost did something in the future to cause a horrendous event, potentially Barry going back into the Speed Force, thus him not being included in the fight about time traveling, and why Nora was comfortable talking to him at the wedding instead of Iris. Nora, obviously being distraught that her father/mentor had been taken away, immediately went to her mother and explained the issue and explained her solution. The two got into an argument about time travel, and Nora did it anyway. Hence the look she gets when she sees Iris when she was giving Joe and Cecile the diaper bag. Nora took it upon herself to prevent Killer Frost from being around. Using the stories she has heard from her father, mother, and Aunt Caitlin and Uncle Cisco, she knows exactly when to travel. She appears other times beforehand to assure herself she was in the right time, and a wedding invaded by Nazis only happens 3 times in one's life, so she could narrow it down from there. At that point, she camped around Jitters until Caitlin came by, running into Cisco and Ralph along the way. She gladly pays for their coffee, given all the times that they have helped do something for her in the future, but after waiting around Jitters, she eventually runs into the exact moment she needs to prevent. She prevents the conversation from happening and even admits that she ruined Killer Frost. She also apologizes for doing it, even if Caitlin thought she meant spilling the coffee. Now remember how I said we would get back to what I meant about Barry not originally dying when he punched the satellite? Good, because here comes what I'm sure causes her to realize her mistake. As I said, originally Barry was not supposed to die. If he was, Nora wouldn't have been born, and the newspaper from the Time Vault, which said Barry vanishes in 2024, 10 seasons after the release date FYI, would be all wrong and would make no sense whatsoever. But after Nora prevented Caitlin from realizing her true potential, she has essentially created Flashpoint 2.0, in which she will now have to deal with consequences just like Barry faced in Season 3 and onward, but probably not an evil version of herself, I hope. So how do you guys feel? Are you sure about this theory as I am? I'm definitely more sure about this than I was my HR theory from last year. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. It was a long shot, but I wanted to be different. Make sure you subscribe, because I have another video in the works, and it's about what happened to Barry in the Speed Force prison. That's coming out soon. And comment your thoughts on Season 4. Was it better than Season 3? What's your favorite season? If you tell me your favorite season and tell me why, I'll feature my favorites in the next Flash video. But last but not least, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. As long as Nora doesn't mess that up too. Bye!